Hi everyone. So basically what I was going to talk about today was digital strategy, pedagogies of care and punishment. So what I've noticed, I guess, in these reflections I'm going to be talking about is in the last month or so, people are kind of scrambling to get ready for term one or semester one, wherever you are. What I've seen is people starting to put together things to do with netiquette and student charters. And of course, it took a colleague from another university pointing out to me that etiquette's actually quite an old term. We don't really use it anymore. Hence, the hint is in the word net. We don't really call the internet the net anymore. That's a 90s term. So, but also netiquette in general. I mean, is it really netiquette or is it just etiquette and kind of, norms that we want students to develop and staff as well when using, digital technologies in education? The other thing is student charters. I've seen this being talked about quite a bit, especially where I work. And I've raised a few concerns because, in my mind, a student charter is something that is very collaborative and mutual. So it comes from both the student and the staff point of view. It's about creating a community of learning, a community of education where we all come together. So you talk about the ethos, whereas the student charters I'd seen being drafted rather, were mainly to do with rules and regulations. So I think we need to be mindful of creating student charters and be careful. A charter, if you think about a charter within a company, it talks about, the ethos of the company, what it's all about. It doesn't talk about mere expectations and what we expect people to do and how they behave, but also it talks about the environment we want to create. I would say if you're going to make a student charter or netiquette, that kind of thing, you should really start to think about and maybe read about pedagogies of care and pedagogies of punishment. So pedagogies of punishment is basically looking at things like plagiarism and looking at how you approach it with students. People often blame technology for plagiarism, but plagiarism's been around for forever. Pedagogies of punishment, we should be wary of that. Especially in terms of COVID-19 and coronavirus, students not having taken their exams, especially in the UK, they're in a very different situation. We should be thinking about, well, how are they feeling? How are they doing? What kind of situation are they coming into? Because we may assume that they can create a video as easy as I'm doing, on my mobile phone, but that doesn't mean they're digitally literate. Pedagogies of care doesn't really relate to that. It relates more to we have to understand the context which we're all learning in at the moment, learning, working, teaching in at the moment. So from a staff side, we're worried about our job security. We're worried about job security of all staff, whether it's professional services, research, academic. From the student side, it's, well, are they going to be studying at home? And if they are, who are they going to be studying with while they're studying? So, for example, siblings, or are they going to be living at home with parents who are working at home and using the internet at home, where they have a low bandwidth, maybe difficult living situations. Pedagogies of care is, thinking about everything in general, right, and building that into our curriculum and getting away from pedagogies of punishment where, for example, we assume that students are all going to cheat. I would want to create within my classroom a kind of atmosphere where students are trusted, where there's almost an honor code, so to speak, and we give them that trust. And in terms of pedagogy, this means, of course, we need to make sure that we keep our assessments fresh. We don't just do what we do year on year because it's easy. Yeah, we all want to leave. We all want to take annual leave and do a nice, easy assessment. But I think it's our responsibility to make sure that our assessments engage students critically and don't just get them to regurgitate what they're saying. I guess a couple of top tips. I'd say for term one, semester one, the least you could do is really get to know your students on more of a personal level. Get them to tell you about themselves more in depth, such as, what inspires them, what are their passions, not just what they're studying, because if you're introducing a cohort of 500 accounting and finance students, they're all studying accounting and finance. So it's more interesting to know what really motivates them, what moves them, what are their passions, what are their interests, right? Because at the end of the day, we're connected through our mutual interests, not necessarily just our subject. And of course, I'm drawing upon critical digital pedagogy, the works of Maha Bali, Sean Michael Morris, Jesse Stommel, and a few others, Audrey Waters, I think. There's a lot of them out there who write about this. So, yeah. Talk to you next month.